Hello, 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 John Mason. How is everybody? I hope well. Yesterday, I went to the VA Medical Center in West Philadelphia near the Penn Hospital area, and I received my first COVID-19 vaccination, Pfizer, and I set the appointment. I have the appointment for March the 12th for the second injection. I would encourage everybody who can to get the vaccine. Get it in you, and you can finally put down this nightmare of a disease once and for all. As they did in Australia, as they did in New Zealand, as they did in South Korea. This shows the necessity of a national health care system in this country, Medicare for all. And I would encourage everybody to advocate to their elected representatives, advocate on the streets and educate themselves and organize for a national health care system. Health is not a luxury. Health is not a commodity. It is a necessity of life. And speaking of life, I say we give a little concern about the people of Texas. They've been going through a terrible, terrible snowstorm, and their electric power system broke down. And for days, people have been sitting, freezing in the dark, no heat, no water. Some literally froze to death. And what kind of leadership do they have? What leadership? Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, put in a request for emergency relief, and President Biden, oh, delicious sound, President Biden, approved of it. And we know about Senator Ted Cruz. His instead of staying with his people, like a real leader should, providing leadership, giving aid and comfort to his people, what does he do? He goes to Cancun with his wife, and they've been planning it for days. It's not this spontaneous thing for his daughters, like he says. It's like, this is a man who throws his wife under the bus for Trump. A man who disrespected his wife, who slandered his father, and now Cruz is betraying his daughters, making them the scapegoat, saying they're the cause of them going to Cancun. And now we also have the former governor and former energy secretary, Rick Perry, insisting that Texans put up with the freezing and the cold and the lack of power and the lack of water, so that the federal government doesn't intervene in repairing the electric power system. I mean, this is states' rights gone too damn far. And the veneration of the free market is just too much here. Their people, they think that their own people, residents of their own state, are expendable, so as to defend the free market, so-called. That is unconscionable. That is ridiculous. That is terrible, evil. We need to advocate on the ground, on the grassroots, for serious reforms, such as the upgrading of our infrastructure, such as electric power stations and railroad and bridges and highways, etc., so we can be ready for the 21st century. God knows we're barely into the 20th century here. upgrade our 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 infrastructure so that we can be more energy efficient and be competitive with the other nations of the earth. And also eliminate student debt entirely. Eliminate it. In a lot of Latin American countries, there has been the movements of land reform, like taking unused land from from big landholders, land that they don't use anyway, and from the multi-billion-dollar multinational corporations that dominate their economies, and put it in the hands of peasant farmers so that they can farm it, make their own profit, and live a decent life. It's compatible to that. Eliminate student debt entirely. I've been very concerned about President Biden backing away from his promise to eliminate student debt. We must hold him to that. We must hold our elected officials accountable for this. Keep on them. Continue to advocate for infrastructure reform and elimination of student debt, and also the $15 an hour minimum wage as a start. There are economists who say that if workers' wages rose according to the productivity since the late 60s, the minimum wage should have been a little over $20 an hour, but $15 an hour is a start. It's a start. And also the decriminalization of marijuana. The war on weed and the war on drugs in general it's just been a war on minorities. Minorities like African Americans and political dissidents, as evidenced by John Ehrlichman talking about Nixon's war on drugs. It's really a backdoor attack on minorities and political dissidents. The war on drugs must end now. And the decriminalization of sex work. We must acknowledge that the Sex Act is a perfectly beautiful and healthy part of life and should be respected. And we must overcome the Puritanism that has contaminated our public discourse about discussions about sex and limited freedom of speech. That's where we're at, brothers and sisters, comrades. Okay. Now see what we got to do. Oh, and support organizing efforts of workers. In Alabama, there's a movement among workers in the Amazon warehouses to organize into a union. We must support the organizing efforts of Amazon workers, employees of Amazon affiliates like Whole Foods, and in general, workers in general. The union movement has had a long and honorable history of organizing to protect the rights of working men and women. We must continue that. It's the future. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.